and translated part of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Something suitable, he felt, for that type of people. And all of his endeavors to give the first 3 volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, to the Western English-speaking world, these are all extraordinary proofs of his endeavor to benedict the Western world. Srila Prabhupada, I was fortunate to come into connection with his disciples in the summer of 1970. And prior to that, of course, there were 4 years of Prabhupada's ardent endeavor in the United States to somehow or other launch this great movement. When I encountered his followers, this was in a very huge gathering at a music festival, and the devotees were there, and I saw them in their robes, shaven-headed, etc., chanting, and I was attracted to come to their kirtan performance in the evening. And after their kirtan performance, they began to speak. And when I heard what they were speaking, it suddenly occurred to me that, oh, these people have a very serious message. I didn't understand who they were, what they were there for. I just was attracted. And by, after a few weeks, I found myself moving into the temple, which was established in Detroit, in the central part of America. Although still I did not have very much knowledge of this philosophy and this movement. But in the early days of the movement, Srila Prabhupada harnessed the energy and the youthful exuberance of all those who came to him in immediately going out, just as in an army, going out and fighting the battle against this Kali Yuga and against Maya. And all of my dear God brothers and God sisters who sit here today and who are part of this, they can also testify of the atmosphere that was created by Srila Prabhupada's insistence that his disciples also carry the same mood in which he came to the West, to somehow or other deliver this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and save the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. So within a very short time, a few weeks, I was sent to another place where they were starting a new temple. It was Chicago. And still I had not seen Prabhupada, but by this time I had heard so many things about him and his character from a few of my God brothers and God sisters who had actually been with him personally. And by reading his books and by chanting the Maha Mantra, which he brought to the Western world, our conviction became quite firm that we have a very great wealth that he has given us, and we have also a very great responsibility on our heads to give this also to all the other human beings in this world. So going to that place, to this city, sent to this city, there was only a few of us in this huge Kali Yuga city in the middle of the winter. And snows were coming and below zero weather. And we would go out every day on the streets by the order of Srila Prabhupada, chanting and dancing for no less than 6 or 7 hours daily. And the balance of the time, we would be studying his books. It was a very intensive program. Srila Prabhupada insisted that all of the temples establish this program where there is no possibility of Maya entering in, he said. So, therefore, there was constant, from the moment that we rose in the morning till the moment that we took rest in the evening, there was constant hearing and chanting, Shravan Kirtan. We were studying Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Ishopanishad, Nectar of Devotion, Krishna book, Bhagavad Gita, and Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, which were the only books available at that time. And we only had one record of, actually two records, record albums that were made of Srila Prabhupada singing. This was the only exposure that we had to him in that form. One of them was called the Happening album, where Prabhupada chanted the Mahamantra, and he also read aloud on the record album his very short explanation of the meaning of the Mahamantra. And the other record was of Srila Prabhupada singing Vandeham Sri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam, the Mangala Charan prayers, to the entire disciplic succession, going all the way to Srimati Radhika and Krishna. And every day we would return back after a long day of dancing and chanting on the streets, and we would put this record on, and we would sit there and listen after taking our evening bath. And we would sit and listen to Prabhupada's voice singing this Mangalacharan. And from that I could understand that Srila Prabhupada was not alone, that he had not come to the Western world all alone, although apparently alone, but there was a backing behind him, an entire family of gurus and Vaishnavas whom Srila Prabhupada was coming to represent. And in this way, 1 year passed. Srila Prabhupada was not in America at the time. He had gone to India in 1970 to launch the ISKCON movement, Hare Krishna movement, back in India. And he went with a band of 50 disciples. So during that first year, we did not know if Prabhupada would again return to the Western world. Actually, there were rumors even, perhaps he will never again return to America. So in this way, we felt very great desperation that, oh, we have met a pure devotee of Krishna, but we don't know if we will again ever see him, or if he will again come to the West. But then suddenly 1 year later, Prabhupada, we got the news that he had landed in San Francisco to attend the 1971 Rath Yatra festival. During this year of 1970 to 71, there was a massive expansion of the movement. Many, many temples were started in many different parts of America, in Canada, in Europe, and Srila Prabhupada had begun traveling quite extensively by that time. But most of the devotees had never seen Srila Prabhupada. Only a small handful had ever personally seen or met him. When Prabhupada finally arrived, he was due to arrive within 2 days at the location, Detroit Temple. And devotees converged from every direction, maybe 200 or 300 devotees, like this gathering that we have. So many, all new devotees who had been serving Prabhupada and serving the mission, but never had met him. So in the airport we were waiting for him to come, and there was a very incredible kirtan taking place, and we were watching as the plane landed, and then waiting very nervously almost, wondering what it will be like to see this pure devotee with our own eyes. We've seen his pictures, we've heard his voice, but we've never met him. And when Prabhupada walked through the door, it was definitely, and every devotee who was there has attested to this, it was as if the sun was shining in an effulgence. Prabhupada's huge smile, so satisfied to see so many new devotees. And as everyone bowed down, paid full dandavats, and then Prabhupada walked very slowly with his cane, sitting down on a vyasasana in the airport, which had been arranged for him, and garlanding a couple of the leading devotees. And as I looked around the room, every single devotee was crying streams of tears. And this I had witnessed Srila Prabhupada's arrival many, many times through the years. But this particular first time was the most intensive. And the devotees sat looking at him, and as I watched, I thought to myself, how is it that I have come into the presence of this personality? What has brought me here? There are millions and millions and millions of human beings, but still I'm brought here to the lotus feet of this great personality, and somehow or other I am his follower. So Srila Prabhupada, in this way, attracted the hearts of everyone. His potency was in his loving kindness and compassion. Everyone felt this in his presence. He was so encouraging, even though he knew that we had so many drawbacks, so many anarthas and so many bad habits. But he so kindly tolerated all of these and encouraged us and engaged us fully. But from the very beginning, Prabhupada would write letters saying, now we have made enough devotees, now we have started enough temples, now it is time to boil the milk. And when I read this, I thought, what does Prabhupada mean by this boiling of the milk? So we understood that Srila Prabhupada wanted us to actually comprehend what it is that he has brought and try to go deeper into a deeper understanding of it, not just external. But this term, boiling the milk, it became like a catchphrase. The devotees knew that Prabhupada wanted this boiling of the milk. So there was a pot that Srila Prabhupada filled, very huge pot. He filled it with so much milk, and he started the fire burning underneath it. And he, at the time of his passing, he did as much as he could do up to that point. And the milk was boiled to a certain extent. But we know that Srila Prabhupada's intention was that our entire life would become this process of boiling the milk more and more and more. So we know that there is a personality who also used to share in this activity of helping Srila Prabhupada to cook. In the Radha Damodar temple, they used to together roll chapatis and cook chapatis on the flame. In the same way, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, in his merciful kindness and in his dedication to Srila Prabhupada and his mission, and to his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he is also helping Srila Prabhupada to boil the milk. He is putting new logs on the flame, and he is fanning it, and he is also stirring it. So on this most holy day of the appearance of Srila Prabhupada, I am praying at the lotus feet of his beloved servitor and all of my godbrothers and godsisters, and all of those who have taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada after his disappearance, and all those who will take shelter in the future throughout the entire world, that somehow or other I may receive a tiny particle of this great wealth that he has given to the whole world. One single particle. If I can receive this within my heart, then I will consider my life successful. Jai Nitya Krishna Vishnu Pada Bhagavan Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Now I request very senior and sincere Vaishnavi, my shaman and name given by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaja, this is so much senior devotee. I request him have to glorify him.
Salakaya Tatsuram Vitam Yena Tasman Sri Varanena. I first offer my unlimited obeisances to my Diksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to my Shiksha Guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, to all the past and present acharyas, all the sannyasis present, and all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis present here. Since we have 15 minutes, I thought I would divide this speech into 3 parts of 5 minutes each. One, I'd like to relate a few personal experiences that I had with Swami Maharaj, and also to review some of the siddhantas that he established all over the world, and also an expression of how Guru is one in regard with his life and teachings. So, Srila Swami Maharaj gave to the world the disciplic succession, and he taught that there are 3 principles for attaining success in life, and that is associating with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And just as in the Western countries, there are 3 divisions of the government, that is the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch, and they all establish each other, confirm each other, and help us understand each other. Similarly, there's Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And Guru and Shastra help us understand Sadhu. Sadhu helps us understand Guru and Shastra, and they all work together. So, as Srila Gurudev Srila Maharaj mentioned this morning, Swami Maharaj came to a place in the Western world where people were even eating cow's flesh. So those of you who are from India cannot imagine the situation that Srila Swami Maharaj came to. There was absolutely no conception of Varnashram Dharma. Here in India there is, although not in its pure sense. But in America, where Srila Prabhupada first landed, the closest idea of a sannyasi was an old man who was rejected by his family, sitting in the park and playing checkers. And the closest conception to a brahmachari was a young man being on some hallucinogenic drug and thinking, I am Brahman myself, and I'm creating the sun and the moon. So this was one obstacle, that there was no culture for Swami Maharaj to base his Gaudiya philosophy on. So from scratch, from nothing, he established Varnashram Dharma all over the world and taught the principles of the Varnas, the 4 Varnas, and 4 ashramas. Then another obstacle was the heads of the Western civilization, who are the modern scientists, who try to establish and successfully establish that there is no God and that life comes from matter. So very extensively in all of his books, Srila Swami Maharaj established, on morning walks he established, for example in 1973, in Los Angeles, on the beach he would walk in the morning and destroy the nonsense so-called scientific philosophies that life comes from matter. One example he gave, because he was by the ocean, and the boat, or the sun rather, the sun was coming up from the ocean. So he said the scientists would say, first there was the ocean, and then out of the ocean came the sun. That's like somebody starting from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, instead of starting from 1. in their counting. So of course the sun is always there, and at a certain time every day, the sun comes up on the horizon, either on the horizon of land or water. And so many thousands of arguments Prabhupada gave. I was once on a morning walk with him in Boston in 1968, and coming back, it was just Nanda Kishore, myself, and Srila Swami Maharaj, and we passed by some trees and bushes, and Swami Maharaj picked one of the leaves off of the bush, and he said, "See how intricate this leaf is? There's a tree design right in the leaf, and it's so beautiful and symmetrical." The scientists say that all these trees and all nature came out automatically from nothing. But if they tried to make one leaf, there are millions of leaves with billions of varieties. If the scientists tried to create one leaf, their brain would perspire. And then he said, every year, in 1 or 2 months, during the season of autumn, all the leaves all over the country or all over the world change colors. The green leaves change to brown, to yellow, to red. And if any artist or scientist tried to paint one tree, it would take years and years. And yet they say that everything happens automatically. So that was another obstacle that Prabhupada used to establish Vaishnava Siddhanta. Then, of course, there's Mayavadi philosophy. And we were all steeped in every obstacle philosophy that there was. So right from the beginning of his lectures at 26 2nd Avenue, where Srila Narayan Maharaj visited last year, Srila Swami Maharaj would speak from Sanatan Shiksha, Lord Chaitanya's teachings, to Sanatan Goswami, as well as Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Srila Rupa Goswami, both in Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and destroy the Mayavadi philosophies. He said, for example, that the Mayavadis compare the living entity with a jug of water that's being gradually filled up with water. And while the jug is being filled up, it makes a gurgle, gurgle sound. But when the jug is completely filled, then it becomes silent. So the Mayavadis say that before self-realization there's so much talking, but when one becomes self-realized, he becomes silent. He becomes one with the impersonal Brahman and becomes silent. So Swami Maharaj said, if one wants to make an analogy, there has to be so many similar points. But there's no similar points here. How can the living entity who's alive be compared with a dead water jug? Or he would say that they say that we're all God, but somehow or other we fell into illusion. So taking the position of both sides, he would say, he would take the part of the devotee and say, how has God fallen into illusion? He said, well, that is my lila. So the devotee says, but lila means full of pleasure, and your activities of becoming hogs and dogs are full of suffering. So how can you say that your illusion is lila? In this way, Prabhupada defeated all the various obstacles that were taking all the people of the Western world down to the hellish planets. In fact, he said that it's because of Mayavadi philosophy that reincarnation is going on through the different species. And therefore, he came to establish personalism. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshikarne. By the mercy of Swami Maharaj, we can understand the great acharyas of the past, and we can understand the message of the Shastras. Similarly, by the great acharyas and by the Shastras, we can understand the greatness of Srila Swami Maharaj. Those of you who are from India, you speak either Hindi, Bangla, or Sanskrit. But for us, we have never even heard of the word Sanskrit when Swami Maharaj first came. And yet, he implanted on us Sanskrit and Bengali and Hindi. He taught right from the beginning, Tasmat Gurum Prabhadyetat Jagyasu Sreya Uttamam Shabde Pure Chanisnatyam Brahmani Upajamasrayam. The language he gave us, the principles of Guru he gave us, the principles of ultimate happiness he gave us, Shreya Uttamam. He taught us there's a difference between prayas and shreyas. In prayas, just like a little baby, anything that he sees, he thinks this is for my eating. So he'll pick up, those of you who are mothers, you can understand, they'll pick up an open safety pin and think this is for my eating. So they'll get a momentary pleasure and long suffering. Where an adult, he'll pick and choose, this is for my eating and this is not, so he'll get long-term pleasure. So he's teaching us Sanskrit, he's teaching us what is Guru, that he must be full of knowledge in all the revealed scriptures, and not just that he knows all the revealed scriptures and he can win the arguments, but he has to be completely detached, upashamashrayam. He has to be completely detached. How much? As much as Krishna is detached from material desires, Guru must be similarly detached. And even that's not enough. He has to have realization of Krishna. Then he can be Diksha Guru or Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru are one, he explained, because by giving Shiksha, the Shiksha Guru also gives Diksha. And what is Diksha? Prabhupada taught right from the beginning. That he's giving Divya Gyan and taking away sinful reactions. Therefore, he must be himself Uttama. He must be realized, he must be Brahmani, he must be situated in Brahman. Otherwise, he can't take away sins. There are 4 kinds of sins: prarabdha, aparabdha, kuta bij, avidya. And those 4 kinds of sins take the living entity all over the universes. So the Guru has to be so high that he can take away all those kinds of sins and give Divya Gyan. And what kind of Divya Gyan? Knowledge of Vaishnava Tattva, Bhagavad Tattva, Guru Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and what kind of Bhagavad Tattva? Sadhan Tattva, Sadhan Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, and Prema Bhakti. And what kind of Prema Bhakti? Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranay, all the way up to Mahabhav. So Prabhupada is giving us the language, he's giving us the knowledge, and by telling us what the scriptures say, then we can understand from the scriptures who Swami Maharaj is. Just like Swami Maharaj taught us, he gave us Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. He taught us the life and precepts of Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. How Bhaktivedanta Thakur gave us the teachings of Bhajana Rahasya, gave us the teachings of Jaiva Dharma, gave us all the beautiful bhajans, which Swami Maharaj is so famous for singing. And there are at least 100 bhajan tapes of Srila Swami Maharaj. Then, when we see the bhajans of Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, we can understand the glories and the powers, the prowess of somebody like Swami Maharaj. For example, earlier we sang one song to Gurudev. There's another one by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Gurudev, Kabhi Mor Se Din Have. There, the disciple is asking from the Guru for some benediction. It's not that we have to always go to the Guru and tell him, oh, I'm in such and such Maya, oh, I'm covered with so many anarthas, what to do. Because Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, and other great acharyas have invested the power of freedom from all anarthas and benediction of Prema Bhakti right in the very bhajans. So in Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur's bhajan, we can understand the power of Srila Swami Maharaj. In that song, the disciple is praying, O Gurudev, when by your mercy, when will that auspicious day be mine, that in a secluded place I'll be able to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and the tumultuous pandemonium of material existence will cease to echo in my ears, and all rogues or diseases of the body will be gone. When, by your mercy, by chanting Hare Krishna, will my body experience ecstatic rapture? And when will my hair stand on end in ecstasy? When will there be trembling in my body and tears falling down like rain from my eyes? When will I be stunned and just as in devastation? So the disciple is asking the Guru for all those things, and the Guru has the power to give all those things. He gives sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. So also, by the mercy of Swami Maharaj, all of us came here today to take, not only today, but on the whole parikrama, we were attracted by Srila Narayan Maharaj, and that brought us over the 7 seas to India. And by the mercy of Srila Narayan Maharaj, in the category of sadhu, we can understand the greatness of Swami Maharaj. Swami Maharaj writes, and he gave to a community all over the world who were just like animals, no different from animals, but still he's teaching. Right from 1966 he was writing and publishing and distributing his books. He had us distribute Krishna book, which has 6 chapters of Mahabhav, Adirud, and all the highest ecstasies of love of Krishna, and all the bus stands and airports, and all the degraded places of the world. So, in his books he teaches Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Vai, that all the Shastras say that only by the arrangement of Sadhu Sangha can one achieve perfection of life. So having faith in these words, we all came and took shelter of Srila Narayan Maharaj. And by his mercy we understand the greatness of Prabhupada and what he wanted us to understand about himself in his books. I once very boldly, and stupidly, without any qualification, a few years ago, actually it was a year ago in the West, I asked Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj, can you tell me something about your pastimes in the spiritual world, like what you do there? So he said, as if annoyed, he said, I don't want to talk about these things. I want to talk about the prayers of Raghunath Das Goswami, like Stavavali, or the prayers of Rupa Goswami, like Stavamala. So it appeared, because only somebody who's on the level of a pure devotee can understand his nature, activities, and Siddhanta. So I couldn't understand at first. I thought he was just putting me off. But then, by his mercy later, I understood that he was actually giving us the glory of Srila Swami Maharaj by his answer. That is, the prayers, just as we're taught, just like yesterday at Varshana, Gurudev said, now repeat after me. Ha Devi Kapava Gada Gada Yacha Vacha. And he's teaching us the highest prayers to become maidservants of Srimati Radharani and not use the excuse that I'm too fallen and wretched and stupid to beg for this mercy. So he's requesting us, he's teaching us how to say these prayers. These prayers are for specific services to Srimati Radharani. Just as we have this song by Narottam Das Thakur, Jaya Jaya Radha Krishna Jugala Kishore. When will I fan the divine couple? When will I feed them betel nuts? When will I anoint their fair and dark skin with sandalwood paste? When will I see their beautiful forms? So we're being requested to become Rupanuga, or followers of Rupa and Raghunath, and to pray for all the services that they are already engaged in. So therefore we can understand that Srila Swami Maharaj was already the perfect follower of Srila Rupa and Srila Raghunath, and is already on the Siddha platform, we can understand that he's already engaged in all of those activities, the same exact activities as Rupa Manjari and Rati Manjari, and all of their daily activities. So in this way, Prabhupada gave us these three principles that we can understand his greatness, understand the greatness of Shastra, understand the greatness of Sadhu. We knew nothing of any Bengali language, and yet, even so far back as 1967, he was teaching us such beautiful songs. And when I heard the other evening Srila Trivikrama Maharaja sing this prayer before one of his evening or morning classes, it immediately reminded me of Swami Maharaj back in 1967. Krishna Tadiya Pada Pankaja Panjantam Adaiva Visatu Bhiman Sarata Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaheka Bhavata Pittu Kantavaru Dhanavidos Mananam Kudaste. That is King Kulak Shekhar is praying, let the swan of my mind always wrapped around the stem of the network of your lotus feet. In other words, let me die now when I'm strong and healthy and remembering you, so that I can attain your lotus feet. Because at the time of death, when all the airs in the body are discombobulated and all the pitta, vayu, they're all ulta-pulta. At that time, when the throat is choked up with mucus, I won't be, and I'm so full of fear, I won't be able to remember you. So please let me die now remembering you. So Swami Maharaj gave us everything. He gave us all the acharyas, all the shastras, and they're also giving us him. Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaja did, by which so many devotees have been attracted to us. It is not a matter of joke. Age. There may be some secret which is very difficult to understand. Let us try, let us pray God and His devotees and the pure devotees, so that we may be able in time to understand the pure devotion. Thank you.
आज शाम को हम लोग बैठेंगे. We will sit assembled there at 4, just at 4. Before that, you should all assemble there, and you should do kirtan just 4. We will start. I want to hear some more from Gurukun Prabhu, more from the Shyamrani, and there are so many qualified devotees. I want to hear from all, and they should offer their presentation to his daughter. I will also speak at that time. Now Swami is over. Now you are going to do arti and pushpanjali. Bhog has been given to him here, to Thakurji and to him also. So we are now going to do arti and pushpanjali. Go, you can do kirtan of Swamiji. You can do Padma.
এই ওইটা খুলে কিন্তু এটা পড়ে যাবে।
they are not coming. Some are coming like old persons. I've heard that in Vrindavan Bhaktivedanta became young. And we are all, what is coming, but I request Janathan Prabhu to come here and to speak something. To give Pushpanjali to the Darshan Swami. Come on here.
Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvani Charana Ye Vishesha Shunyavadi Bhakti Videsha Karana Om Ajanti Naranda Vyakana Shalakana Sakshu. Well, I'm going to speak very briefly because I know there's about 30 Prabhus. Multiply that late in 10 minutes, that's 5 hours. So I want to just mention how I came to know Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master. As you know, by the time I joined in 1971, the movement had already grown quite a bit. There were temples all over the world, 60, 70, perhaps 80. And Srila Prabhupada's time was very much consumed by management, speaking, so many things all over the world. And there wasn't as much time for personal one-on-one association as had been the fact earlier in the movement. So most of us, I think my story is more common than anything, is that our initial experience in knowing Srila Prabhupada was by knowing his devotees. We came into contact in different ways. For myself, it was just going to a Sunday feast. And there I met the most amazing people. They were so bright, so energetic, so clear-headed, and they knew where they were going and how they were going to get there. And I didn't know where I was going or how I was going to get there, and I certainly wanted to know. And so I began to take back books and take up the process of chanting Hare Krishna. And it worked very quickly. The books were just beautiful, phenomenal. I mean, for the first time in my life, the actual goal of life, so simply, clearly, positively described, was there. I remember reading Bhagavad Gita and remembering that, and telling all my friends, yes, all you have to do is, in every activity you do, Prabhupada used this phrase, dovetail your activities in the service of the Lord. That just caught my attention. It made so much sense. And I'd tell everybody, and they'd look at me, whoa, what? But for me, it was the truth. And they said after the first Sunday feast, the next week, if you come here, our guru is going to be here. So I said, yes, I'll come.
Where was it?
Brooklyn, New York, 1971 in the summer. Henry Street, a beautiful place. And so I came next week. Srila Prabhupada was not there. But all the same wonderful devotees were there, and I began to establish relationships, reading more books, discussing with them earnestly during and after the feast, and doing a little service as far as possible, chanting. And then the next week he was going to come. No. Then the next week, by that time I was convinced. And I told one devotee, yes, I'm going to join sometime in a few months. He said, well, if you're going to join, you might as well join now. Oh, okay. And I did. And so then I had these two elements, the association of wonderful devotees. I was reading the books, but then I got full engagement service. And that was remarkable. The first service, of course, was washing pots. And we had this wonderful phrase, Prabhu, you're not just washing these pots. You're not cleaning pots, you're cleaning your heart. Prabhupada said. And our whole day was filled with these little Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that. And so all morning long we'd be washing pots. Then we'd go out on Harinam for hours and hours and hours. And it was a lot like this Kartik. At the beginning, you're tired, your mind is wandering, you're distressed, but you're determined, and the more you get into it, you're chanting with the party, and then before you know it, all of that is gone, and you're in bliss. You're in Vrindavan. And so the chanting parties were absolutely wonderful. Then we would come back and then go back to the kitchen, clean more pots. But then Prabhupada came. And all of a sudden, that pot cleaning took on a special significance because we were in the kitchen and there was one senior devotee there. Her name was Bhadradasi. She was like an older sister. She knew so much about Prabhupada and she became his personal friend while she was there. And all of a sudden, young devotees, brand new, we began to get wonderful associations because we'd get this, get that. She'd be making them chapatis, little cookies, hot milk, telling us all these wonderful things, all these qualities we would know about Prabhupada. Again, from the lips of another devotee. And in this way, our little bit of Krishna consciousness progressed. And it was all based on the association of senior devotees. And that was my vision throughout the years, many, many, many years. I was never in a private darshan with Srila Prabhupada. Went on a few morning walks. Fortunately, we were in Brooklyn. He used to come through a lot and give lectures. And those were, of course, wonderful. I was going to give a different direction in my speech, but when I heard the singing of Jaya Radha Madhava, I just wanted to say one thing, and then I'll end. When Prabhupada did come, and he would start his Srimad Bhagavatam classes in the morning by singing Jaya Radha Madhava. And his resonant, powerful, deep voice would just soar out over the room, throughout the whole of Brooklyn. It seemed all over the universe Jaya Radha Madhava was being sung. And all the devotees would take up the chant, and we would be so surcharged and powered and fired up. It was just a remarkable, wonderful, wonderful time. And I have to thank so many of the devotees here for helping me to recapture and feel again the power and the splendor of those moments. Particularly this afternoon, I have to thank my Shiksha Guru, Srila Narayan Maharaj, because that offering to Srila Prabhupada was so beautiful, so heart-rending. And all the devotees chanting and all the garlands everywhere and the beautiful feast. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I feel so fortunate and thankful. Hare Krishna.
Rishabdev Prabhu, I am requesting you to glorify and to give your response. Come on.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Kacharanya Sheshanyavani Ashtadidashana. Divine Master, manifest answer to our heart's call, appearing the magic dancer, a clear path out of it all, beckoning us back to a place you're already in. We catch a glimpse from what we're hearing, flowing forth from your mountain wisdom, a current and guide until each is home. Like Sri Krishna, you're not alone. There are predecessors and successors who gesture toward you as you do them, all inviting us to serve through to the end. But there is no end to the sweet service both here and there. canvassing souls to be enjoyed without a care, except the divine couple's pleasure. That we can only measure now by yours and those who are yours. Srila Narayan Maharaj asked us to say how we came in contact with this divine grace. For me, that's embarrassing, but it glorifies this divine grace to show how far he could reach, how far his mercy could reach. Actually, it was quite an eventful day. It was in January of 1968. I was in Santa Barbara, and I had to actually run away because the commune, which I was in that time and place in the 60s, California coast, boys and girls would live together, many of them, and their activities weren't all so good. Even the authorities would sometimes want to shut down such places, and that was the case that morning. And so I actually ran to Los Angeles in a van, and meeting an old friend there, he was somewhat concerned about my welfare because of my sickness, addicted to poison. And he wished that I join him to meet someone who was just coming into Los Angeles that day. I found out later for the first time Srila Prabhupada was coming. So he took me there, thinking that I could make a vow before him and he would give me the strength and the power to follow it. He thinking me too weak to do so on my own. So we went there, and first I saw him surrounded by beautiful devotees, so clean and so graceful, chanting. And it was overwhelming hearing the Maha Mantra, and all my sickness went away. My eyes were opened because I was awestruck to see them. And tears were coming just because of the circumstance. Each of the times that are most instructive to both myself and others that Srila Prabhupada personally guided me were times when he humbled me. One should always appear foolish before the spiritual master. And sometimes I was so foolish that I didn't appear that way, and he would have to break me down. And the first meeting was one such. As I was somewhat proud, thinking, oh, I knew Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, all this, yoga, thought that Brahman was the end. And hearing Srila Prabhupada speak, he described that Brahman is nothing but the periphery of the spiritual world that emanated from very beautiful places. And when he described the nature of spiritual existence, which he did in that lecture, I realized I knew nothing. So all my pride was curbed, and I realized that I had a lot to learn. The one thing I took from that time was the Maha Mantra, and hearing from the lips of a pure devotee, I was fortunate that my repeating might have gained some of the recognition of the Supreme Lord. So by chanting, things were arranged, and I came into the association of devotees a year later. And again, in that year, after, in 1970, Srila Prabhupada had an opportunity to again curb my pride. The day after my initiation, a devotee, Tulsidas, and I were chosen to go open up the San Diego temple. And so we went to his room. He was going to see us off personally from the New Dwarka temple. And I know we were feeling somewhat proud, and we went into his room to get his blessing. And when he looked at us, he said, "Oh, you young boys are doing everything. I'm a useless old man. I can do nothing anymore. And so my spiritual master sent you to me so that I might be able to serve him." Well, from feeling much bigger than our bodies, I just wanted to feel the size of my soul. crawl underneath his feet, which is my proper place. And in that place, we were sent off to do that service. Again in 1972, later that year of 1970, I was placed in Laguna Beach, California, but the book distribution really took off in the Christmas of '71. And Keshava, the temple president in San Francisco, wanted to take off on traveling Sankirtan parties, so I was put in his place in San Francisco. Seeing the situation, it seemed obvious that there should be one large Bay Area temple, and that it should be in Berkeley, not San Francisco. So I wrote a 3-page proposal, had it signed by the temple president in Berkeley and by the senior devotee Jayananda there, and we went into the rooms of the Divine Grace in 1972. And he said, yes, you can do this, but one thing concerns me, that you have taken the time to make this proposal. And I don't want that our leaders become burdened by administrative work. This movement is not to be materially managed. You should go out on Sankirtan every day with the rest of the devotees, and the management will take care of itself. Do not worry. So again, humble. So many times there were that I was with this Divine Grace when that took place, but we only have so much time, so I just want to offer a few more words that I've written, which are also humbling to describe the situation I was in on the day of his disappearance. Srila Prabhupada, by your disappearance day, November 14th, 1977, my chanting and following it has become intensely heartfelt from 2 weeks of running from murderous mafioso and a corrupt FBI. The Kauai morning sky that could awe-strike those trying to enjoy it appeared empty that day. The gaping oblivion lay beyond. The only thing of value near was an already Krishna-oriented toddler, Gauranga Devi, and the precious tears offered to you from her mother. Now within a year, the media and courts exposed the elaborate dirty tricks attempts of government teams sent out to get your movement, a counterculture superior to the one dominant. With a twirl, Lord Chaitanya scattered the multi-million-dollar forces of the most materially powerful organization on earth. Those devotees in that circumstance were found innocent. But something else happened that year. Your beloved disciple, Swarup Damodar, told a Guru Bhai and I about an election wherein he, out of 22 members, was the sole vote and voice to disagree. He thought, lovingly and wisely, that everyone should thicken their relationship with you through feelings of separation. None should be anxious to replace you. O Prabhupada, we're alive. We're your moods and methods of management, the deep and joyful Krishna consciousness. You gave us everything. We couldn't even give our one insignificant life in return to maintain all that you gave. The devotees who knew something of your manner mostly left, shaking their heads to make altars in their homes. The work was now within. To do bhajan as you had done, to qualify, that someday some could inspire and carefully keep care of others without fail, as you do. I could not have written that last sentence until meeting your beloved intimate, Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Before that, nothing clicked. The current of consciousness of the Parampara seemed to end with you, lighting up your disciples, but none enough to transfer the full juice. But now I can die with a smile on a once forlorn face, For I've seen those of yours reminded who you really are by one who truly knows you, who knew you more this life and now, your closest associate and natural successor, who wants that of us also, that your purposes for us and our Karma Gurudev be fulfilled.